but a reminder is anytime we have a public hearing that comes before the council meeting, any presentations that organizations or people want to make for non-legislative, that's during the public comment. So that's why we had a little bit of mix up. I figure I want to give enough time for NOPEC if they need 15 minutes. If they need 5, that's fine. Vinny usually disappears then during those extra minutes that we don't use. The other thing is because the legislation did not go out with the agenda, I want to remind people that if it's a new piece of legislation that you're assigned to offer, you're going to have to make the comment to do the waive the 48-hour rule first. Oh my God. What happened to you, Mark?
I was just explaining I have to prosecute now in a building that doesn't have air conditioning. So between that and the mask, it was a little too warm. So
ZZ Top is retired?
what's that?
ZZ Top is retired?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, dang. I thought we were going to bring the guitar out next. And there's a Kyle that can play the piano for us. So first off tonight, we will have the public hearing where NOPEC will be presenting. That's in relation to Ordinance 38, 2020. And then once they've done that, then the mayor can call, and we're done, the mayor can call the meeting to order. What I'd like then is when we get to the minutes, the first set of minutes for May 14th, Vinny, if you could offer them and Jeff make the second. Then the minutes for June, can't read my writing. Dave, if you would offer them and Jessica second.
Okay.
Then we'll go into
who's
the
offering? Dave is going to offer the June, and I'll second the June.
Okay, who's offering the 14th?
You're doing the May 14th one with Jeff doing the second.
What's the date of the June one?
The second one, I believe, is June 12th?
June 11th.
11.
Correct me.
11.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we'll go into the ordinance for number 38, 2020. We're going to leave that the way it was before, which Jeff, you had it, and I was the second. Mayor, do you want to expound that we would be going to second and third on that? If there's no
Just second.
from the
Just
public.
second.
Just second?
Yeah.
Okay. Got that, Jeff? Hello, Ken Larmer.
Yep, second on 38, 2020. Second
Yeah,
reading.
Yeah, and we'll hold the third. So we'll just go to second. Then the first one that's new for us is the 44, which is the budget. I will ask Jessica that you will offer that, and Vinny will second it. And if we could have an explanation of the what actually changed on there.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
The only thing we're doing is adding the 2 coronavirus related funds that we're required to add. We're adding Fund 264, Local Coronavirus Relief. And we're adding Local Corona Relief 265. So House Bill 481 and the second distribution by Summit County each require a separate fund to put those dollars in, and they've yet to determine what wages are eligible. They're still debating. The initial directive from U.S. Treasury was gray, probably written by an attorney.
With the beard.
Yeah, attorney with or without a beard, it's all gray matter. So I think the Senate is supposed to meet next week and discuss and try and clear up some of the grayness. But
So
so right
this
now the
money
money's just
coming from the state and the county for us to be able to use, but they haven't told us how we can use it.
from the federal government through the county.
Okay,
No state dollars. Well, I'm sorry, House Bill 481 still is coming from the federal through the state,
Right.
and then through the county to us.
okay. But they're determining how we're allowed to spend it.
Right. The plan is to spend it on police and fire, but initially those wages had to be significantly dedicated to COVID activities, or substantially dedicated, I should say, is the wording that they used. And they're trying to. We had a Zoom call Monday, and Brian Nelson from the county says he's thinking they're going to allow 25% of police wages and 35% of fire wages to be designated substantially dedicated to, but he's as frustrated as everybody else because there's no clear directive yet.
Is the money already in their checkbook?
Just the 226,376.88. That was the House bill money, and then the money from Summit County is not yet distributed.
Any questions?
How many readings, Jen?
Hopefully 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Jessica's going to offer it, and Vinny, you'll be the second. And so, John, you're saying 1, 2, 3? Mr. Barrett?
I would suggest 1, 2, 3. We have to send the legislation down to, the amendment down to the county so they know we have everything ready to go when they're ready to distribute.
Mark, do you have anything to add? Are we okay with that?
Yeah, there's no reason to hold it up unless council has any additional questions. It's good to pass.
Does anyone have any questions? I mean, it's money that's very welcome into the community, that's for sure, to help us keep whole in the police and fire during this interesting time. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, Jess. But remember, you got to do the 48-hour rule first.
Okay,
Before you offer it.
okay.
Okay, then the next one up
Thank you.
is Ordinance 45. I'll be taking that one, and Dave, if you'll do the second. I think if everyone looks at why or what it is, they'll know why I'm taking it. It's something I've been fighting for since the pipe went in 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't know. It was during Mayor Miglerini's first round. So who would like to speak to this one?
I can take this one. So basically, we're acquiring the property for $1. This is the next step in the process for us to begin the retention basin. So essentially, all this is doing is acquiring the property for $1, and that's it. Our Lady of Guadalupe.
If we do this, do we have a timeline yet? Or do they still have the right to say no?
Well, at this point in time, we're putting the finishing touches on the purchase agreement. So every indication is we're pretty much at the finish line. We do have a couple easements we still have to secure, including one with Guadalupe, but they're working with us at this point in time. So I have no reason to think it's not going to go forward.
Where are the easements at?
One is going to be a permanent access easement agreement because the parcel that we're purchasing is technically going to be landlocked. So we're going to have some infrastructure, and we're going to be able to work in that easement area to put that infrastructure in. And then we're going to be permanently accessing that parcel for maintenance going forward. And then there's, I think, 3 properties to the, Joe G can correct me, I believe to the west or the south, where, yeah, temporary work agreements, basically.
Dang.
Mark, you're correct, south.
I'm sorry, it froze up on me. Mark, where's the properties, the three?
There are the three properties to the south property line along Shepherd, going away from Shepherd.
To the south or to
The
the west?
Southern property line.
I'm sorry, I keep losing you.
The southern property line, there's three property owners there that we just need temporary easements from, so we can do a little bit of work in their, just the edge of their property line, just to be safe.
So that would be me, my neighbor, and who else? Because we're south of the property line.
Joe, I
That would
don't
be
know.
from-
Do you have the,
Mark, Ms. Tully, those are the three properties closest to Shepherd Road, not your property, Ms. Tully.
Oh, the three that complain about the lights. Oh, that's gonna go over well. Okay. But when you do that, when you work on it, Joe, are you then gonna take all the trees that were taken down that are on the properties, the three properties that are south but west? The trees?
No, there's no tree removal on these three properties that we're talking about here. These are just, as Mark described, temporary work agreements. Since the work will be taking place very close to the property line, it's essentially almost impossible to perform the work without actually stepping foot over the property line. So that's the reason for these three easements that Mark's describing, but there's no tree removal.
But the trees that were taken down,
Oh.
those,
The trees that were taken down last year, yes, of course, those get removed as part of the project, removed from the site, yes.
and is that removed from the church property that we're buying, or is it removed from the resident property? How are you gaining access to remove them?
The access to the property is, as Mark described, is the permanent easement, which basically runs for the Guadalupe, the driveway to Guadalupe Church, if you could imagine that driveway, and extend it straight ahead or due west until you get to the rear of the Guadalupe property. And the rear of the Guadalupe property is the landlocked parcel that the city is obtaining for $1. Of course, since it's landlocked, we need to have a way to access our property and our detention pond in the future, hence the need for the permanent easement.
So the trees that were taken down will be removed from coming through the easement that's on the property and the property that we're buying.
That's correct. Yeah, the trees that were taken down last year would be removed from the site, and the way out is basically to go up the Guadalupe driveway.
Okay, because you know who's going to ask me.
Oh, yes, I think I do know.
Yeah. And I didn't look, but in the attachment, does it show how far the property goes? Was there an attachment of the drawing that shows how far the easement goes,
Yeah,
or the property goes?
yeah, that's part of the exhibit. If you look at the attachment to the purchase agreement. So it should be like the last page or last two pages.
Okay. I'm gonna have to share that. There's someone who asked me daily. So, and if we sign this, do we have, Joe, any tentative timeline at all?
I'm not sure at the moment. I would say that we would wait for the final paperwork, the city to actually take possession of the property. At that point, we could move forward with conducting a public bid to hire a contractor to do it.
And I'm gonna ask Mark the crystal ball question. Got a feel for if the church is gonna say, let's go?
Well, so after we execute the purchase agreement, we have a closing period, which should be expedited given the nature of the acquisition here. But that'll probably at least take 30 days.
I know they now have a new bishop, so I'm hoping that we're cool. And I don't see a drawing in here. So if there's just a way that I could get a drawing of the map of the easement as well as how far south it goes. I'm not sure how far south their property goes and how far north or far east, west their property goes versus the residents that are on Smoke Rise. I don't know where their ends and if there's a middle of it. Kind of like when that property came to light, no one knew that the Federation of Jewish Women owned it. And it was just a strip of land. So it was interesting to find out. All right, so I will offer it for I'll do the 48-hour rule, offer it for 1, 2, 3. Dave, if you could then be the second. Are there any other questions? If not, on to 46. Dave, I'm going to ask you to offer this one with Jeff as the second. Mayor, do you want to speak to this one or Joe?
Yeah, I could speak to this one. So we went obviously through the bid process as we always do with anything over $50,000. This was for the Highland Road resurfacing. There was 5 bids. The lowest and best bid was NES Corporation in the amount of $253,861. So they will, hopefully with your passage this evening, be awarded that contract and we can take care of that road expeditiously.
Questions? Hearing none, are you okay as a council members for 1, 2, 3 and an approval?
Affirmative.
Yes.
Okay, Dave, remember you gotta do waive the 48-hour rule before you can offer it for 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Jan, does that apply to 38 as well or no, since it's not new?
No, because 38 already was,
Okay.
had a first reading.
Okay,
So
thank you.
you're okay with that one?
Yep.
Okay, and then there will be one new one that I'll be reading that Mark had given to me. It is for donation of flowers that came from Home Depot. And 250. I'm just going to read it right from your piece that you sent me, Mark. And where were those placed?
We put those all over. We put some at Veterans Memorial. We put some in the park. John, any other places I'm not thinking of? City Hall.
Also at City Hall as well, yes. But yes, Longwood Park and Veterans Memorial.
And just to clarify for the other council members, that's a motion. It's not a new piece of legislation.
Yeah, it's something we traditionally do. Anytime we get a donation, we accept it via a motion. So I'll be making that motion. When the mayor goes, is there any new legislation? I'll be offering it. And then if we'll have, Jeff, if you, I lost my notes here. I need a second on that. So Jessica, can you be the second? Okay, then the last thing we'll have will be there's no other legislation that I'm aware of. Mark, did you have anything else? Mayor, anything else?
No other legislation. I will be talking in my mayor's report about the governor's orders and what we're doing in Macedonia. So I will be bringing that up.
Yeah, well, let me get through the rest of this because that's one of the topics I have on my list to speak for before we have to go into the actual meeting. So for the adjournment, Dave, if you could make the motion to adjourn and Jeff be the second. That way we don't speak over each other.
Hey, Jan,
And then.
Jan, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When we suspend the 48 hours, we do have to have a second on that, right? So the people, whoever is seconding, whoever our buddy is, needs to remember to second the 48-hour suspension motion too.
You actually need a second and you need 4 affirmative votes in favor.
Is that a roll call vote?
Doesn't necessarily need to be a roll call, but we just need to make sure we second and give votes in favor or against, as we typically do with say when we're gonna read it for 1, 2, and 3. Same deal. We just need to second the motion.
Right.
Okay. Anything else? If then, Mayor, if you could speak very briefly about the mask ordinance. I believe the mayor contacted every council member individually about the original request from Summit County Board of Health, who had asked us to put some kind of legislation together regarding the mask ordinance. There also was the notification that the chief of police placed out there, which interesting, a non-resident didn't like it and a resident liked it. And I asked others to read it, and I haven't gotten anyone with a negative comment because, they understand the situation. So, Mayor, if you'd like to speak to what's going on with that.
Sure. So we were asked to have legislation brought forth, basically to put us in a position where we would have to enforce the mask mandate. In everything that we're doing, obviously, with what I'm saying as a safety director, I'm encouraging everyone to do that because that is the order that's been put forth, and that's what we need to do. But by having that legislation, it puts us on the hook for enforcement of it. And in a 10 square mile town with the number of police officers we have on the road, if we were to be getting phone calls, say on the 911 system, and a bunch of people are calling saying I'm in Walmart and someone's not wearing a mask, I mean, I really feel that would tie up our police officers to the point where it could cause a big problem down the road. So I want to propose that to council. That was brought forth. Mark and I have talked about this as well, that we have that open for council to consider. But from where I sit and my standpoint and talking with the chief and Mark, it's just not something that's feasible at this point for us to enforce. Summit County Public Health is essentially the responsible party for enforcement of it. We do, however, if we get a call, say at Wendy's, and someone's not wearing a mask and they ask them to leave, at that point, then our police officers would have to go and ask them to leave the facility. So that's kind of the extent of what our police would do. We're not going to be chasing people around that don't have masks on. And again, this is a very touchy subject. Society is very torn on this subject right now, and for me, it's just a matter of, yes, you should have a mask on, but no, I don't believe that our police department should be, pulling people over, that are not wearing a mask. So that's my 2 cents.
The interesting point is when the mayor had called me about it, that's when Cuyahoga County Board of Health had put out their phone number and their helpline. And I said, why don't you propose that back to Summit County? Because that's truly who owns it is the Board of Health. It's the mandate via that. They then can take care of it. And I don't think Summit County's come back out with a phone number, have they?
Yes, I think I forwarded that email to you, Jan, but I possibly did not. But they did reply back and said that they already have a number dedicated for that, and it is up on our social media and our website. So if there's any question or concern where you want to contact Summit County Public Health, that is on our social media and our website.
Yeah, part of the other issue is, and this is a directive I have where I work, there are certain groups of people that cannot wear masks. So, it is not my right to go up and say, put a mask on. And if they say, I have this issue, ask them what that is. So it's a very sensitive issue. I got to be honest with you, we had 99.9% are wearing masks at the store now that come in. So even kids under 2. who don't need to wear them, have them on, so it's pretty cool. So any questions? Any other comments? Mark, do you have anything to say regarding this issue since it's a fine legal line?
Yeah, I would just add that I believe the initial request from Summit County came in, and I may be wrong, but I think it came in prior to Summit County being designated in the red level and therefore the mask mandate coming in. And it certainly came in prior to the governor's recent statewide order. So I think that changes things up a little bit as well.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we actually have 3 minutes if you need to take a little bit of a break. We are going to be opening this up and going into the discussion, the public hearing for NOPEX. So you get, what is it? 7:13, you got 2 minutes. If you need to excuse yourself, do so. You won't be in trouble.
Mrs. Tully, I have 7:15 if you're ready.
Yep.
Okay. I will open up the public hearing for NOPEC. I see Mr. Raymer is here. I will turn the floor over to you for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome you to everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. So what you are considering tonight, oh, by the way, Nicole Harris from our office is also joining us tonight.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
So what you're considering tonight is a way to improve the customer service and the enrollment in your natural gas aggregation program. And let me explain. If you want to join our electric aggregation program and you're not currently a member, then all you have to do is call customer service and they can immediately enroll you. There's a quirk in the law that prevents natural gas customers from being able to do the same thing. If you want to join our natural gas program, then you have to call What they will instruct you to do is try to get out of your existing contract. Then you'll go back to the standard choice that the utility offers. Then you'll come up on an eligibility list. And then we'll pick you up in something we do every other month, which is called a refresh letter. And then possibly in a 3 to 5 month period of time, NOPEC will show up on your bill. And what that does is it's a barrier to becoming a member of NOPEC, and also has a negative impact on your enrollment, which directly reflects on your grant dollars and your sponsorship dollars. So what our attorney has done is created a new document. It's called a Program of Operations and Governments, and it replaces the one that you currently have. And this has several new paragraphs that allow someone it's called to opt in. It's about 98% of what you currently have as a guiding document to your aggregation. It inserts a couple of new paragraphs that allow someone to, just like electric, call and immediately enroll in your natural gas program. That has a positive impact on your grant, and it has a positive impact on your sponsorship. It's a fairly simple housekeeping measure. It does require 2 public hearings, which we are conducting the first one now, and then it takes a resolution on your part. You have the document. I'd be glad to answer any questions on that. But the advantages to you is that it prevents that aggravation and that inconvenience of being able to enroll right away in your natural gas program. So comments or questions?
Yes, I want to address Nicole. This is Vinny Ventura. I believe, is it feasible that some of us are already in this program? Because I believe that last time I spoke with you, and I called you again at your office, that we were enrolled in both electric and gas.
Yes, the City of Macedonia is an electric member of our aggregation program, and you're also a gas member. The provision that Charlie just explained in the Plan of Operation and Governance is primarily for residents such as yourself. So what it will enable is that, say you, Councilman Ventura, decide to go with another supplier for whatever reason, pricing or a gift card or some reason, and you leave the aggregation. When that time comes around and you say, you know what, I'm ready to come back into the aggregation program, the challenge to get back in the gas program can be cumbersome. It could take 3 to 5 months because you'll have to terminate with that supplier. As Charlie mentioned, you'll fall back to the utility for 2 billing cycles. And during that time, you may receive an opt-out notice to re-engage back into the aggregation. We received the mailing list from the utility, from Dominion. So at whatever point they deem your account as aggregation eligible, you will receive an opt-out notice. This could be a 3 to 5 month process for all of that to occur. With the revisions in our Plan of Operation and Governance that the city has adopted at the time you join our gas program, what this new provision will allow for you, Councilman, to call our customer service and say, I want to re-enroll back in the aggregation, instead of waiting for all those steps to work in your favor to occur. So this is more of a provision that will help you on an individual basis in our aggregation program and the city as a whole, because I shared with the mayor and with John that the attrition in the city of Macedonia is about 6.5% of those who fall off of the aggregation over a period of 12 months. So that's pretty substantial. A lot of that may not be due to people leaving or opting out, but it could be a number of things. Residents moving in and out of the city, people being strayed away by competitors, or people who they're trying to get back in, but just because of the way the choice opportunity is set up in the state of Ohio, it's just really difficult for them to get back into the gas program. So this will definitely break some barriers for an individual resident like yourself to get back in the aggregation if somehow you fall off the aggregation or go to another supplier and want to come back. So I know that was a lot. I hope that helps.
But if I'm currently in it, I don't have to do anything then, correct?
No.
Correct.
Correct. It only applies to those folks who are either moving to your community as a new resident or coming off of a contract from an existing supplier and want to get into the NOPEC. It doesn't interrupt or interfere whatsoever with the natural gas aggregation program that you've enjoyed for years and years and years. It just improves customer service for your new residents.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I have a question. What changed to allow you to change the way the program works now to make it more? Was there state legislation that made it easier for you to do this?
I can answer that. The answer is no, but what our attorney did was significant research on how to improve the current document that you have. And there is a kind of an obscure reference in the law now, the Ohio Revised Code, that does provide for this opportunity. So what we have to do, though, is take that language and insert it into the guiding document that you currently have, which is called a Program of Operations Governance. So it was kind of an obscure provision. Our attorney found that, said we can use this to to the advantage of our communities by improving our customer service. Let's go through this process and offer this as an option to our communities.
And I would also like to add, we watch enrollment with NOPEC across our electric program and gas program. So, there are some areas where we see attrition in the gas program. So this is one of the ways that we're attempting to work and getting those attrition numbers down. And one of the ways is by making it easier for people to get in the gas program, when the opportunity is in front of them to do that. So the numbers have driven the decision as well.
Right.
To do this.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I always try to let people know how to get onto NOPEC, and it's really easy for me to explain how to get on electricity. And I'm like, I don't know, you'll just have to check the website or call or something to get on the game. So this is going to be nice to be able to tell people just to call and you could do it. Now, your NOPEC isn't listed on Apples to Apples, correct?
That's correct. And the reason is because we're a council of governments. So we're not a for-profit supplier like what's listed on Apples to Apples. We're a council of governments. So it would be like, for instance, Macedonia being listed. I mean, it's just not an option that's available to us.
And also, NOPEC is a membership organization. So what you will find on Apples to Apples, all those retail suppliers, they're open to anyone to choose them as a supplier for gas or electric. With NOPEC, you have to be, go through a legislative process, sometimes ballot, depending upon the community, and become a member of NOPEC. So you will not find any aggregation program, NOPEC or, the other electric or gas suppliers. Aggregation program rates are not available on Apples to Apples because they are membership programs.
Yep, exclusive membership pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
I presume your pet also endorses the program.
Very excited. I think there must be someone here right now installing.
He's enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. Now, I will also add, so I approached Summit County for the county program, City of Macedonia, Cuyahoga Falls, and I presented it to the City of Greene also. I would say I field more calls from residents in Summit County trying to get into our gas program. I don't know why that's so. I also cover territory, some in Stark, East Cuyahoga County, but a great deal of calls that get escalated to me beyond our call center is a resident who's been trying to get into our gas program, and they all come from Summit County. So my biggest project was the mayor's mother, the mayor of the city of Norton, his mother, is trying to get into our gas program. And, it was a 3-month, process waiting for her to come up on eligibility and receiving the letter so that she could take no action. And then, 20 days to decide and 10 days rescission. It was just a long drawn out process. And we just want to make it easier for residents to, when their account gets to that status that it's eligible to join, to make a phone call. And that really cuts down about 2 months of the time waiting for them to see NOPEC on their bill. So I think this is a great idea. It came up at our General Assembly last year. And, we have a lot going on with COVID and all, but, we wanted to roll this out in January. So I really appreciate the City of Macedonia Mayor for being open to getting this on the agenda.
Well, thank you, Nicole and Charlie, for coming today. We definitely appreciate everything you provided us with today, and we thank you. Is there any other questions for them? Or do you guys have anything else you want to add?
Oh, you have one more public hearing and then you take final action.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll schedule that for next month.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, thank you all. It's good to see you.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Bye-bye, you all.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
We have 2 minutes. Jan?
I assume we didn't have any comments for the hearing that we received?
Amanda, do we have any comments?
Just
No,
a
I didn't. I didn't
Yeah,
have any.
Amanda, are there any public comments?
No, I didn't have any public comments.
And is the zoo going to be presenting, Mayor?
Yes. The zoo will be at our next meeting.
Okay.
And I spoke with her, and she said that they'll keep it to 10 minutes. She's gonna write something up for him so that he sees.
Is she bringing one of the animals with her?
That would be great. That's why I kind of wish that it was in
Zoo
person.
is one of the greatest zoos around.
But she's gonna send me the presentation first, so then I can send it to you guys so you can see it also.
And you said it's the next meeting, Amanda?
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
that's our next meeting.
Okay, I have 7:30. Hello and welcome to the July 23rd council meeting. It is 7:30 p.m. Will Ms. Trasko please call the roll?
Ms. Grant?
Here?
Mr. Finley?
Here.
Mr. Garvis?
Here.
Ms. Tully?
Here.
And Mr. Ventura?
Here.
Okay, first up is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on our agenda is the approval of minutes for May 14th, 2020.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting on May 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is the approval of the minutes from June 11th, 2020.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting from June 11th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next up on our agenda is ordinance number, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a little jumbled here. Next is public comments. Ms. Trasko, do we have any public comments this evening?
No, we do not have any public comments.
Okay. Then we'll move right into our ordinances. First up is ordinance number 38, 2020.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 38, 2020 for its second reading by title only.
Second.
An ordinance approving the plan of operation and governance for the NOPEC natural gas aggregation program for the purpose of jointly establishing and implementing a gas aggregation program as a NOPEC member.
We just had our public hearing on that, so I don't know that there's any other explanation we need to give at this point unless anyone has any comments. Hearing none, I'll move on to ordinance number 44.
Before I introduce this ordinance, I just want to let the residents know that this ordinance and the next two, we will be introducing with a motion to suspend the 48-hour rule. There was just a technical glitch in getting us the copies of these ordinances in time. It has to be in by Tuesday evening. So that's what's going on here. So you'll hear us suspend those rules for these three. So that being said, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the 48 hours rule for ordinance number 44, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I'd like to make a motion to present ordinance number 44, 2020 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 92-2019 relative to current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Macedonia for the period of January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020.
Director Veras, can you give an explanation, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Two simple amendments to add funds that are required to receive federal dollars for COVID relief. One coming from the federal government to the state through House Bill 481, and one coming from the federal government to the county as a second source of COVID relief.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
And as of this time, Mr. Veras, there is no direction as to what we can use that money for, correct?
Well, there is direction, misprint, but the direction right now states that it can be used for supplies that you've bought, COVID-related supplies, hand sanitizer, etc. There's a gray area as to whether we can use it for police and fire wages that were substantially dedicated to COVID-related activities. And the U.S. Senate is supposed to meet next week to kind of clear up that gray area of the original CARES Act relief.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And what is your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion to pass and post ordinance number 44, 2020, the same according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Finley?
No.
Mr. Garvis?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Mr. Ventura?
Yes.
Ordinance 44 passes. Ordinance number 45.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the 48-hour rule for ordinance number 45, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I'd like to make a motion that we offer ordinance number 45, 2020 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to acquire an interest in certain real property located at 9080 Shepherd Road.
So essentially, this ordinance is for the purchase of the property at Our Lady of Guadalupe for the retention basin that we have talked about for countless years that will obviously alleviate some of the stormwater problems we're having downhill from there. The purchase price is $1. Mr. Gelati, is there anything I'm missing on that?
No, I think that's pretty good, Mayor. And as discussed in the work session, once the city actually possession of the property, then we can move forward with a public bid for the construction.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance number 45, 2020, please.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Mr. Finley?
Yes.
Mr. Garvis?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
And Mr. Ventura?
Yes.
Ordinance 45 passes. Ordinance number 46.
I move to waive the 48-hour rule of council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I move to offer ordinance number 46, 2020 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in
Sorry.
favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
An emergency ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract with NES Corporation for the resurfacing of Highland Road.
So essentially, this piece of legislation is for the resurfacing of Highland Road. We had 5 sealed bid proposals. We took the lowest and best proposal of NES Corporation at $253,861. And I will also note that half of that was paid for through the grant we have. Mr. Gelati, would you like to touch on that?
Yeah, I can do that, Mayor. Half funded by a grant we received from OPWC for this paving, and half funded by a Summit County permissive license tax collection.
And I'll also add, it's no secret that that road is in desperate need of some help, and this is a long-awaited repair, and I'm sure many of the folks that travel that road will be very happy once this is completed, because it's a little rough at this point. Any other discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt ordinance 46, 2020 and post the same according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Mr. Finley?
Yes.
Mr. Garvis?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Mr. Ventura?
Yes.
Ordinance 46 passes. Do we have any other motions or legislative actions?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the donation to the city by Home Depot of live plants with a value of approximately $250.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Director Nadavanj, can you touch on that for a moment to tell us what we did with those?
Yes, Mayor. Home Depot and one of their plant suppliers extended their generosity to the city by giving us some plants that were donated to us. We have placed at Veterans Memorial Park, at Longwood Park, and at City Hall as well.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to correspondence from the clerk.
I have none.
Thank you. And I'll move right into the mayor's report. The mayor's court report for June 1st through June 30th, 2020 is $21,411. Going to touch on a couple things today, and I'm going to start with the mask mandate that was brought down by the governor. There's been a lot of talk and chatter about what we need to do as residents of the city of Macedonia, and specifically what we need to do from the administrative side, specifically the police in Macedonia, for the enforcement of this. I want to be really clear that the enforcement piece of the mandate comes through Summit County Public Health. We do have their phone number and their website up on our website, macedonia.oh.us. We also have some social media posts that we put out regarding that to kind of let people know what they should do if they see a problem. The thing that we want to avoid, and this is something, it's a touchy area right now with everything going on, but if you see someone without a mask, we strongly suggest you do not approach them. There are exceptions to wearing the mask where you have a medical issue or something where it would not allow you to have it on. So I would caution people from approaching others. Yes, from this perspective, for me, I would like for everyone to wear the mask. That's what the governor has mandated to us. That's not what he mandates people be required. So I would strongly encourage everyone to wear them, but please don't approach folks you see with them that are not wearing them. So it's all for our safety. I want everyone in Macedonia to be safe, and we got to be cautious with this thing because it's very dangerous. And the chief will touch on that a little bit more in his report. The next good news I have for today is the write-in, write-out from Route 8 will begin on Monday. I attended a pre-construction meeting yesterday to talk about a lot of different things, including safety. I'll have Mr. Gelati if there's anything you'd like to add to this, but great news. We've talked about this for a long time. This thing starts on Monday. We will have minimal traffic delays. They are going to have to be in the road. I don't know exactly the date of that yet. Mr. Gelati?
Yeah, there will be, from time to time, there will be some traffic delays in the State Route 8 southbound direction. And crew is working near that area to connect the new road through. Obviously, we'll keep everybody updated as to when that might occur through social media and other means. So
here again, another long coming project that we're proud to get completion for. And, I've seen some chatter, and I think I've mentioned this before, that there was people saying that this was going to be a dangerous thing. This is actually a very, very safe method to get people in and out of that area. Also, we have pretty much at this point one way in and one way out. So from an emergencies perspective, for our services, this actually helps us greatly. So if there's ever an emergency in there, not only the emergency services can get in and out of there, but the folks that are inside of there can get out there a little bit more easily as well. So very proud to have that project up and running. And that concludes my report. Moving on to committee reports.
Parks and Rec Committee didn't meet this month. We are hoping that we will be able to meet with the new director for our meeting next month. See the new directors watching our meeting here. So Jason, mark off your calendar for the third week in August for us, please. It's still determined as to where it'll be held. I think I'm going to try and get maybe a pavilion. We'll try and hold it outside, but it will be at 6 o'clock the third Wednesday in August, which I think is what the 19th. Yes, the 19th. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll get that on the calendar. It's on the calendar now. And as far as I know, it's all a go. We haven't seen anyone since I think February was our last meeting. So it'll be good for us to get together and see what's going on with Parks and Rec Department. And that is all for that committee.
I'll also add that Mr. Chaddock will assume his role as the director on August 3rd. We are very excited to have him and looking forward to him beginning his tenure with us. So we will see you soon, sir. Any other committee reports? Hearing none, I'll move into department reports. First up is Chief Ripley.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to thank NURSD. We heard at many council meetings the flooding of the homes on North Bedford. They acquired those homes. They were gracious enough to let us train in them, which we've been doing for a couple months. All this week, Assistant Chief Solinsky has worked with all the shifts. They've spent the majority of every day this week down there. If you drive by now, you'll see holes in the roof and destructive training, which is very, very valuable to our firefighters. So I just want to publicly thank NURSD and anybody who saw us out there. We had signs that we were training, and it was just a wonderful thing for the guys. We did get a late start this year, but we do have the hydrant crew started on Monday. They're making good progress. The signs are going up in each neighborhood for the week where they will be flushing. They actually started in Sagamore Hills this year, and they're going to work their way east. So we're going to get that up on social media, and we're going to try, if possible, to let, it's a moving target and they move quickly, but let people know where we're at least community-wise. And if your water turns brown, just run it until it's clear and you'll be fine. That's the end of the report, Mayor.
You're muted.
Mayor.
Mayor, you're muted.
Got it. Thanks. Next up is Chief Goldham. But before he gets started, I want to wish him a very happy birthday. Chief, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. Metro SWAT was training at the high school last week. If some folks saw some of the Metro SWAT vehicles there, that's what they were doing. Principal Casey Wright was gracious enough to allow SWAT in there and do some training. So thank you to Casey Wright. Reference the masks. Macedonia Police is doing basically what all police departments in Summit County are doing. We are not enforcing that mask ordinance, but we will go out and assist with businesses that have people who do not follow their rules for wearing masks inside their establishment. So we're doing what everybody else is doing. And there's a number you can call to get a hold of Summit County Public Health if you need their assistance with masks. That's all I have, Mayor.
And Chief, just to be clear again on that, the enforcement is the responsibility of Summit County Public Health, not the local police departments.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to be clear on that because obviously we've had some questions come up about that. Okay, next up is Director Veras.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, we want to remind everyone that the filing deadline for the Macedonia income tax refund is October 15th. We did seem to get a lot of activity July 15th because the RETA deadline was extended from April 15th to July 15th, so a lot of residents just did both together. But we extended ours 3 months as well till October 15th. End of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Next up is Director Guidetti.
I have no report, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Gelati.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take a couple minutes here to update or alert the council to a study that Summit County Sewer is going to be doing here coming up this fall. It's really just an alert for the council. There's nothing for us to do as a city except just to be aware that it's going on. This is another one of their efforts to try to help solve or reduce the historic sewage overflow problem that we have at the intersection of Crow and Berkshire. I think most of you are all too familiar with that. In short, what Summit County is going to do is they're going to go upstream, Shepherd Hills, Briarwood, Tanglewood, Broadmoor, Broadledge, and Ledgeview are the streets where they will be studying. Soon, we would expect Summit County to announce a public information meeting that they will conduct. They'll conduct it virtually on Teams or similar website to inform the community to some more detail as what their study is going to entail. Then the county will be reaching out individually to residents on those streets that I just named to schedule a time to do an inspection, both on the exterior of their home and in the basement of their home. Basically, the county will be looking for ways in which accidentally clean stormwater is entering the sanitary sewer system, and then try to do some corrective work if they find any of those issues. This whole study and program is free of charge. to the city, free of charge to our residents. So nobody is paying anything. I think that's important to keep in mind. And if there are any questions or comments that come up as this study goes on, they're really all directed to Summit County Sewer. We have the name and phone number of email of their representative who's in charge of this study. So hopefully this will help us solve that historic sewage overflow problem. Only other item, the road program paving continues. They're currently on Navajo Road. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gelati. Next up is Director Nadavanch.
Thank you, Mayor. On July 11th, Summit County Reworks held their shredding event at our Longwood Park, and we had an outstanding turnout. They rated it the third highest turnout of vehicles in the 15 years that they've been doing this. There's 579 in attendance. They collected 35,020 pounds of paper and 1,400 pounds of cardboard. Of those Summit County residents and businesses that attended, 21.5% were actual Macedonia residents. Want to give a great shout out to Marcy Kress and Carol Gilletto with Summit County Reworks and the rest of their team for a great event. It went smoothly. We had no hiccups. Wasn't long waits and lines. It was all the way backed up to 82 at times, but never into the road. They did an outstanding job on that. Also, I'd like to make mention to our Veterans Committee, who have done a great job over there at Veterans Memorial Park. If you cast your eyes over there every once in a while, you see more and more has gotten done. They've laid all of the concrete for the walkways, and now we're going to be doing some a little bit of grading work with our assistants and mulch in the flower beds. We're getting that much closer to finishing that project up, and it's to them for the last 2 months, every day they've been working in the blistering heat, doing all the work over there, and they've done a great job. I want to make mention to them. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I completed the migration from our old virtual server environment to our new virtual server environment, and I was able to shut down that old virtual control server that was sputtering down the road slowly. So that was a pretty big move for us, and it opens us up to be able to complete all of the software advancement projects that we had slated for the coming year. So end of report. Thank you.
Thank you. Last up, HR Manager Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report.
Thank you. Do we have any unfinished business? Hearing none, do we have any new business? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Jan was speaking, but she's muted.
Oh.
Sorry. Thanks, Amanda. I just want to remind everybody that our next meeting will more than likely be virtual again, but it is on Thursday, August the 13th. We have already canceled out the last meeting in August because it comes up to Labor Day weekend. So mark your calendars for the 13th. Thank you. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.